attorney Laura Anthony, founding partner of Legal and Compliance, a full-service corporate securities and business transactions law firm. Today is the first segment in a multi-part securities law cast discussing OTC markets and the various quotation levels and their respective listing criteria. The OTC markets divides issuers into three levels of quotation marketplaces: OTCQX, OTCQB, and OTC Pink. The OTC Pink, which involves the highest risk, highly speculative securities, is further divided into three tiers: current information, limited information, and no information. Today, I will discuss the highest quotation level on OTC markets, the OTCQX. The OTCQX divides its listing criteria between U.S. companies and international companies, though they are very similar. The OTCQX has two tiers of quotation for each U.S. and international companies. There's the OTCQX U.S., OTCQX U.S. Premier, OTCQX International, and OTCQX International Premier. Issuers on the OTCQX must meet specified qualitative and quantitative eligibility requirements. Today, I will start with the listing requirements on the OTCQX for U.S. issuers. To be eligible to be quoted on the basic OTCQX U.S., companies must have $2 million in total assets as of the most recent annual or quarter end. As of the most recent fiscal year end, they must have one of the following: $2 million in revenues, $1 million in net tangible assets, $500,000 in net income, or $5 million in market value of publicly traded securities. The issuer must not be a penny stock based on certain enumerated exemptions from the penny stock definition. It cannot be a blank check or shell company. It cannot be in bankruptcy or reorganization. It must be in good standing in its state of incorporation and in each state in which it conducts business. It must have a minimum of 50 beneficial shareholders owning at least one round lot each, and a round lot is 100 shares. It must be quoted by a market maker on OTC, and generally it's subject to certain carve-outs. It must have a minimum bid price of 10 cents per share as of the close of business on each of the 30 consecutive calendar days immediately preceding the company's application. Also, the company must have GAAP-compliant audited annual and reviewed quarterly financial statements and either be SEC reporting or using the manual's exemption for blue sky compliance. To be eligible to be quoted on the OTCQX U.S. Premier, companies must satisfy all the requirements for any other U.S. company, as I just mentioned. In addition, they must have at least 500,000 publicly held shares having at least $1 million in market value and at least 500,000 in net income, or $2.5 million in stockholders' equity, or $35 million in market value of listed securities. Also, they must have a minimum of 100 beneficial owners owning at least one round lot each. They must be, subject to certain carve-outs, they must have a minimum bid price of $1 per share for each of the 30 consecutive calendar days immediately preceding their application. And they must conduct annual shareholders meetings and submit annual financial statements to its shareholders. All U.S. companies that are quoted on the OTCQX must have either an attorney or investment bank designated advisor for disclosure, called a DAD for short. In the next securities law cast in this series, I will discuss listing qualifications for OTCQX International issuers. Following that, I will talk about the application process, the ongoing listing requirements, removal or termination of listing, and the fees. I'm securities attorney Laura Anthony, founding partner of Legal and Compliance. Should you have any questions about today's topic, please visit securitieslawblog.com or contact me directly. Inquiries of a technical nature are always encouraged.